It's over, isn't it? Like, I've been desperately trying to come up with some reasons as to why this can work, why Graham Potter is the right man to lead Chelsea, and why I believe that he has what it takes to turn it around. And I'm stumped. I've basically run out of ideas. I'm thinking there were moments in the early Arteta era when they lost at home to Burnley, for example, where they decided to give him time when there were calls to get rid. But ultimately, this is a shambles. Graham Potter is clearly and obviously out of his depth. He is definitely the most uninspiring and clueless manager that we've had in more than 30 years. And that includes Andre Villas-Boas and Avram Grant. And if you genuinely believe that this catastrophe that we are witnessing is progression and part of a process, and that losing at home to Southampton is a result of maybe players being injured or new players having to gel, I'm afraid you're an idiot. I tried to like him. I really tried. I really wanted it to work. I thought that the appointment was an interesting one and maybe what Chelsea needed, but he just isn't the right man. He clearly is not the right man. The way that he conducts himself is not an elite level manager. He isn't Chelsea quality. He doesn't belong anywhere near the Chelsea dugout. We've just lost at home to Southampton. Southampton have one clean sheet in their last 28 matches. They've lost 9 of their last 10 games. And despite beating Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, they're 20th. They are still rock bottom of the league despite beating us. That is how bad they are. And we're no better. They were well beaten last night. We were well beaten. And if you look at everything going on at Chelsea at the moment, there is not even a semblance of something to cling on to. There is nothing to cling on to. We can't defend. We can't attack. Like, Arsenal scored more goals in the last 5 minutes of their game at Villa Park than we've scored in the last 5 games. We have absolutely no form of identity. All of the things that, you know what football hipsters like to talk about? All of those things that I find very unquantifiable. Like, when I talk about a footballer, I talk about the amount of goals he scores. When I talk about a footballer, I talk about the amount of tackles he makes. Or if it's goalkeeper, the amount of saves he makes. You know, the things that are unquantifiable. The style of play, the mantra, the overarching strategy, the identity, all of these things that I can't quantify that Graham Potter is meant to bring in, we have none of that either. We have absolutely nothing. There is no identity. I don't think Graham Potter has a clue who his first 11 are. I don't think he knows anything like what his best team are. And there are so many excuses, always. And let's face it, the manager is to blame. The manager is to blame. The reason that Chelsea lost to Southampton is because of Graham Potter. That's a fact, by the way. That is a fact. James Ward-Prowse is brilliant at taking free kicks, for sure. Azpilicueta, who I hope is okay, by the way, but Azpilicueta should be more careful. When you give away a free kick on the edge of the box, it's equivalent to giving away a penalty, so be careful. But Graham Potter was conducive to this ridiculous result. He made so many mistakes. How on earth can you opt to rest Reece James and Thiago Silva? Resting players. The arrogance that comes with that. I mean, are you thick, Potter? Are you thick? How on earth can you rest 2 of your best players when we are in a crisis? When you're in a crisis, it's about the here and now. You don't rest players. You are in a crisis now. 3 points today against Southampton is all that matters. And you're resting players for a game presumably against Dortmund. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You have to play your strongest team. This team needs to learn how to score goals again. This team needs to learn how to win again. The fans need to be brought on side, and you rest your best players. And you play a shambolic team. Like, he got it so wrong on so many occasions. It's just painful. Like, Graham Potter picking and choosing which competitions to focus on. We can't guarantee beating anyone. Like, look, Erik ten Hag rested players recently, didn't he, against Leeds? Rested players last weekend against Leeds because they had Barcelona in the week. He can do that for many reasons. Very different situation. He can do it because he's got a lot of credit in the bank. Because since he landed at that club, he's basically got everything right. Take the 2 first games that he managed, Brighton and Brentford, take them out of the equation. Geezer has literally got everything right. Massive decisions, got them all right. Transfers, got them all right. The way that he's handled the biggest situations that you could possibly have to handle, he's got them all right. Therefore, guess what? He's a better manager than you, and he can rest players. He can prioritise competitions because he will probably think that his team that he selected, despite dropping Varane, Casemiro, despite doing that, he knew that he could get the victory against Leeds. Potter, you don't know that you can get the victory against anyone because you can't get a victory against anyone because you've proven that you can't get the victory against anyone. So why on earth are you resting players, you arrogant idiot? You don't have the skill set to rest your best players. You're relying on players like Reece James and Thiago Silva getting you out of jail. And you rest them. It just doesn't make any sense. Look, I'm not a big fan of Kai Havertz at all. I think he's a dreadful footballer, but he's probably Chelsea's most likely outlet for a goal. You know, he will score, 7, 8 goals a season. Nobody else is going to do that, so play him because he's our only hope. It's a terrible situation that we found ourselves in where Kai Havertz is our best hope for a goal, but play him. Didn't play him. Mudryk. I haven't seen anything to suggest that he's the mercurial talent that had Europe's best clubs chasing after him, but apparently he is, so play him. Resting players in a must-win game against Southampton. What are you doing? The other one, right? Aubameyang. Aubameyang is the best finisher at Chelsea. If Aubameyang played against Dortmund, he'd score. All those chances that we missed, Aubameyang would score. And he was left out again, despite Graham Potter telling us that he's been training well. So Aubameyang, proven centre forward, whatever you think. I don't like Aubameyang at all, by the way. I don't like him. I don't want him at Chelsea. I think it was a terrible signing. But we are living in an awful world. So the context shifts. On the scale of this awful situation that Chelsea are in, Aubameyang's one of our better players. Aubameyang's one of our better options. And you're telling us, you're going out of your way, Potter, you are telling us that he's training well. So if he is training well, why isn't he in the squad? Because he's the best finisher at the club. You have not played Aubameyang. You've left him out of the squad and you've thrown in a 20-year-old. Look, I think Datro Fofana did all right. You know, he tried hard. But we're a team in crisis. We can't win. We can't score. And you stick a 20-year-old who has been playing in Norway up front as a number 9 in one of the most pressured positions on the pitch. You sold him down the river. He's 20. He's 20. And Chelsea are playing at home. You've got irate home fans. You're playing against the team who are bottom of the league, so you effectively are on a hide into nothing. And you throw in a 20-year-old. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Every single change that he made didn't work. Like, you know, Datro Fofana tried hard. I don't even want to really comment on his performance because he's so young and he shouldn't have been playing. But it didn't really work. Koulibaly is incapable of playing in the Premier League, isn't he? Kalidou Koulibaly is completely and utterly incapable of playing in the Premier League. Like, dreadful. Absolutely, horrifically dreadful. One of the worst defenders in the league. Like, if you talk about, say you made a list of the 5 worst centre-halves in the league, you got Tyrone Mings, Kalidou Koulibaly, Eric Dyer. Like, he's on it, no matter what. Whether you think he's first or fifth, that is how bad Koulibaly is. Starts him. It's truly, truly ridiculous. Another shocking signing there, by the way. And then you've got Mason Mount. Now, look, I like Mason Mount. I love Mason Mount. But he's playing terribly. You know, he's playing terribly. I thought it was quite... A few of my mates put a banner over the North Stand. The Mason Mount banner. I quite like the idea to try and invigorate, try and inspire the player. But he's playing so badly this season. So the fact that he can't find any form and he's been brought in, all of the players that Potter brought in, all got subbed. All had bad games. You know, these are your changes. These are, like, you know, just to compare to Ten Hag again. Do you remember when Ten Hag made a big statement? He dropped Maguire and he brought in Martinez, his man. Martinez was his man. Ten Hag could have hidden behind. He could have hidden behind Maguire. You bought him, 80 million. He's your captain. I have to play him. It's going to cost us points, but it's not my mistake. Could have been cowardly and hidden behind him. But he brought in his man, made a change, and a change has massively worked for United. Elevated the entire club. Brilliant signing, brilliant management. Every single change, that Potter has made just doesn't work. You know, just think about the performance. Mason Mount, another innocuous performance, we'll call it. Fofana didn't work at all. Koulibaly could have been sent off multiple times because he is so out of his depth playing Premier League football. Like, he isn't capable, like the pace of the Premier League. You know, I think you could argue that Italy is a more technical league, but it's certainly a slower league. Suddenly, he's playing in the Premier League. He doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know what is going on. Remember when we played away at Man City? And all of a sudden, he had he's on the ball, he's looking around, he's taking his time, and suddenly he's got Julian Alvarez, bang, wallop. Panicked. Doesn't know what to do. He's not comfortable on the ball when he's under pressure. So it's just more dreadful, foolish signings from Clearlake. And in fact, you know what? Koulibaly is an example of this. Like, when you think about it, right, we've spent £500 million on players in the past 9 months. Like, what is their value now? Like, we'd be really lucky to get half of it back, wouldn't we? Like, awful signings, particularly in the summer. Like Cucurella, 63 million. I remember on this very YouTube channel, I put a video up going, Cucurella, like, what are we doing? This is a ridiculous signing. And everybody got really annoyed with me. Everybody got really annoyed. You know, lots of Chelsea fans furious. How could he possibly say this? Cucurella's a great signing. Like, hang on a minute, he's not. He's not. And then, do you know what the argument came? He can play left side of a centre. He can play the left side of a 3. No, he can't. He's not good enough. Terrible on the ball. Costs us goals all the time. Cost us a goal at West Ham. Dreadful going forward. Uninspiring. What's he worth now? 63 million quid we paid for him. What's he worth? What's Koulibaly worth? Like, the business of this is just so bad. And then all the signings that we have seen are rubbish, and then the other lot we don't even know because we haven't really seen them play. Excellent work, Clearlake, again. It's just bad decision after bad decision. So then we now need to make a decision on Potter because it's almost untenable. And the fact that I don't think he has a clue what his best team is really troubling. Like, we had another team yesterday. We had a front four of, Fofana, Felix, Mount, Madueke. Like, if you were to ask 100 Chelsea fans, what's your best front four? That isn't it. That is nobody in the world would say those front four. Like, that combination that he's managed to pick there is the worst possible combination. Tactical variations galore. Tries everyone out at fullback. Like, Conor Gallagher's never a fullback, is he? Do you know? Like, he's just never a fullback. In terms of the amount of players, he's tried everybody. You know, he's used more players in the past couple of weeks than Mikel Arteta has used all season. And ultimately, I do think it's over. Like, you know this thing that we always say about you need time. You have to give them time. That's kind of taken as a given, and I don't really understand why. You don't have to give people time. People don't always take time. Often you have excellent managers who come in and they make an impact on day one. Jose Mourinho landed in England, won the league. Antonio Conte landed in England, won the league. Antonio Conte took a team from 10th to top. Didn't take time. Sean Dyche beat Arsenal on his first day, and I think he'll keep Everton up. Eric Ten Hag hasn't put a foot wrong apart from those first 2 games of the season. There are countless examples of managers who land and don't take time. So this thing, you've got to give them time. You've got to give them time. They always use Arteta. They always use Arteta as the example. I just don't get it. There is nothing wrong with Chelsea adopting the policy and try it, acknowledging that this went wrong, and then adopting the policy of a bygone era. Go and get the best. Chelsea Football Club demand the best from the top down. We demand excellence at every aspect of the club. So go and sign Zidane. Go and sign Luis Enrique. Go and sign my personal choice, Diego Simeone. Totally in keeping with Chelsea. Totally in keeping with the perception of Chelsea. Totally in keeping with the traditions of Chelsea. Graham Potter, by no stretch, could ever be described as being a Chelsea man. So let's just end this. It's done. Thank you for watching this. Intrigued to hear what you have to say in the comments, so please let me know. The second this video goes live, I'm going to put it live early. I'm going to be in the comments, so let me know what you have to think. Would love for you to click the subscribe button if you're new around here. Would love to welcome you into this community. Let me know your thoughts. Have a wonderful day. Ta-da.